I'm the Theorizer, and happy Halloween-ish. After tons of creepy theories recently, I thought I'd make a less creepy one for Halloween. So I scanned through one of the most entertaining sci-fi movie franchises, Men in Black. The series is responsible for my fear of asparagus, and one part got me laughing every time. The Noisy Cricket. A very tiny gun with a kickback greater than almost every other weapon in existence. Some Twitter followers suggested that I look into it, so I checked out its physics and discovered the truth about the most outlandish gun that I have ever seen. I know not all of you guys like math, of course, but I will try to make this easy and mostly math-free. Alright, so before we can establish the insanity that is this gun's power, we need to know how the gun works. Unfortunately, the ammunition is so ungodly fast, we never get a clear look at what it's shooting. So we will need to assume some things. Let's have some fun and assume that the Noisy Cricket is shooting metal balls, or extremely small bullets. It will make life easier. When the tiny ball shoots out of the minuscule end, it uses enough force to throw a human far backwards into a wall. In this scene, for example, it sends Agent J flying back one full Agent J into a wall. Will Smith is 1.88 meters tall, so the distance is 1.88 meters. But how long does it take for him to go flying that distance? Well, I measured actually frame by frame to discover that it took around 0.17 seconds. That is fast. It's 40 kilometers per hour to be exact. But what's really amazing is when you look at the time it takes him to go from no speed at all up to that speed. It would be enough to cause a blackout. It takes him 0.23 seconds to go from 0 kilometers per hour up to 40 kilometers per hour. And that means that if this acceleration continued, every single second, he'd get 170 kilometers per hour faster. That is surely deadly, but we're looking into how strong the gun is, not how fast Will Smith is. Fortunately, the two are related by force. Will Smith is confirmed to be around 82 kilograms, and force is made up of two things: how much mass something has, and how much acceleration that mass has. Luckily, we now have both. 82 times that acceleration gives us a shooting force of almost 4,000 newtons, enough force to bust your thigh bone. But this is just in a super tiny steel ball, so since we know the shooting force, I'd now like to find out how fast this ball goes. Not an easy task. Remember that force formula from a few moments ago? Well, if we rearrange it, we can find the acceleration of the bullet. All we need is the mass of the ball. This was a bit tricky since we can't actually directly measure it. So first, I assumed that it was a perfect sphere. Second, I looked at high-quality images of the gun and measured the barrel to be about 0.012 inches across. If we assume that the ball is the same width and that it's made of steel, then this formula states that it would weigh a measly 0.000000123 kilograms. That's sad. But back to our force, because if we divide, we get an acceleration of 3.206 times 10 to the 10 meters per second squared. And since this distance is around 2.15 centimeters long, this formula puts this ball's velocity at a whopping 37,129.23 meters per second. That is Mach 109. A sonic boom like this would create a cloud that looked about like this. That's crazy. It may be fast, but the energy produced is pretty low, no thanks to the mini mass, only about 85 joules. But it's not all that sad, as the mass does do something amazing right here. All energy is conserved. This means that the movement energy is the same as the heat energy. So how hot would the ball get? The thermal energy formula states that a steel bearing like this, at this speed, would produce, drumroll, 1.4 million degrees Celsius. Thanks to our dear pal the inverse square law, anything 220 feet away would go up in flames, and any one 370 feet away would instantly be killed. No explosion, just a lot of heat. When the bullet hits, it would have a pressure so high that it would go through almost anything. 7.7 million pounds per square inch. Oh my god. But now to its namesake, the Noisy Cricket. Just how noisy is it? Well, I'm glad you asked. If we can assume that all of the sound is produced just when it moves through the barrel, then all we have to know is the time it takes to move through it. Long story short, I derived a formula to figure out that time and received 0.0000001158 seconds. Fun fact, if an energy is done for a certain amount of time, it'll have a certain amount of power. And so this energy divided by the time gives the gun a power of over 73 million watts. Doing some decibel calculations, which I've done many videos on, we find the loudness. Alright, here's the kicker. You would still be able to hear this gun from 760,000 kilometers away. That's equal to the distance to the moon and back. The loudest gun in existence is the Noisy Cricket, and Will Smith underestimated its power. Foolish little human. Yet again, sorry for the shorter upload, but my time crunch is currently getting bigger than ever, to the point where I actually need to take a break for a week or two. Then I'll be altering my upload schedule. See you in a couple weeks, and until November, I'm the Theorizer. But thanks for getting this channel to 150,000 subs. My goal is 200k before the end of the year, and I know we can do it. Share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you, guys.